back to the Askari Cast. My name is Rodman Blake, author of the Ancient Illumination series as well as the Umbani Chronicles, and I'm joined once again by Andrea Rose Washington.
Hello.
She is the author of Adlithia, Elendil and Almond Tree's Magic. So if you like sci-fi and fantasy, make sure to check out her link. And we are also joined by Jocelyn Short.
Hi.
She's a graphic artist, illustrator, and concept artist. So if you need logos and character concepts, there'll be a link to her website as well so you can check out her art. Today, we are continuing our discussion on Vox Machina. It's an animated series streaming now on Amazon Prime based on Critical Role's D&D campaign. We are on episodes 9 and 10, A Test of Pride and Killbox. So if you have not watched at least that far into season 2, spoiler alert. But to be fair, it's been out for a while. So it's not like you should have watched it by now. And if you haven't, you're slipping. Go check it out and then come back and check us out to hear our thoughts on it, see if you agree or disagree.
Yeah, we late to the party, so if they late, they can't be mad at us.
Yeah, they can't be mad, but I still like to, give a fair warning anyway. Um, Test of Pride is the 9th episode, and this one kind of tricked me at first because I didn't know if we were getting a flashback or whether we were seeing Uncle Kevdak in current times. In the initial, there's a little opener.
Mm-hmm.
It's a flashback where we see the herd, the herd of the storm, which is the group of marauders that Grog is from, uh, wrecking shop at some village. They're just mowing folks down. And we see a young Grog there with his little helmet on and his battle axes. Um, and they're fighting through this town of Pike's people, it seemed. So we finally get to see Grog and Pike's connection because they've been kind of buddies. They call each other buddies all the time, but we didn't really know what their connection was. We did see a few episodes back after Grog got really skinny and kind of cracked out when her great grandfather, and she cuts him off at 2 this time. Just 2 is okay. When he says, "I haven't seen you in such bad condition," we see the condition in which he saw him in after fighting his uncle initially for trying to save dude's life. Because they want to kill the little people, and Grog ends up having a heart and stands up to his uncle, not wanting to kill this harmless. I don't know what they're called. The halflings or dwarves. I don't know what they are.
I think they're just dwarves.
Okay. What did you guys think of the flashback scenes?
Okay, I'll go first then. I didn't know who was going to go first. I liked it. Again, like you, I definitely was like, wait, hold up. Is this current times or is this like or are we seeing a flashback? It's not really explained in the beginning.
No.
But I also sort of liked it because you really got to see, like, we were going and seeing how ruthless they were without actually knowing, oh, wait, Grog was a part of this.
Yeah.
Versus, like, it's him explaining his past from his perspective. So maybe it's not as, real and raw. But then to actually see, this is how he was. Like, we're not sugarcoating it. This man was awful. Like, he did awful things.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh crap, that is Grog. And almost even though like we see him before we even really hear his name, it's like, is that him or is that someone else who's just young? And it's like, oh crap, no, that is Grog. Yeah. Okay, like what happened to our bubbly guy? Like where did he go?
Yeah, I liked the reveal in the flashback that the the relationship he has with Pike has gone back a ways, and how this has all started, like their friendship and how he is now. I feel like his whole journey in this season with the sword kind of whispering in his ear all of these these sweet terribles are it and is kind of like, it's almost like his old natural voice that he's kind of fighting against, like how you said that he was doing all these terrible things prior before he met Pike's granddad. It's just the parallels are just interesting to me. Just like just the how he interfaces with his own kind of violence, like his grappling with why is Grog violent.
Yeah.
You know.
And it kind of goes into his heritage a bit because he's referred to as a half giant.
Mm-hmm.
When Pike is trying to, rationalize, okay, how are we going to go in? And she keeps calling a bunch of, like, we got a bunch of Grogs with skinny Grog, and then refers to the uncle as like Jumbo Grog with the gauntlets. How are we going to fight? But then they refer to them as half giants. So that's kind of interesting. Like, well, what are they, giant, and what are they? What's the other half that they're mixed with? And there's a whole group of them. So that was an interesting reveal. And then we find out that the dragons are basically shaking down the herd, who's shaking down the city that they're in. So they're punking them to get more gold and treasure, and it's just like, stuff rolls downhill, and they're having to shake down the townspeople. And it's obvious that not all the marauders in the herd are with Kevdak, that they don't believe in what he's doing, and why are beholden to these dragons when we should be doing stuff on our own. Of course, Scanlan decides once again that he's going to sneak in and commandeer these gauntlets itself, which is obviously as easier said than done. That he's going to just change. What he change himself to, like a dragonfly or something? He like sings to a dragonfly and sneaks in, and then transforms at the wrong time.
Scanlan is always coming back as the comedic relief, but at the same time, he's really doing the dangerous jobs. He is like, he laughs it off, but like, he was going into the belly of the beast by himself. He didn't have his lute with him. He only had like his voice, which I guess isn't really good enough because we see later that he needs an actual instrument. Yeah. So it's like he plays a comedic relief, but that man does care, like does understand the seriousness of what he's doing. It's just like, okay, I gotta laugh it off, because if I focus on actually how dangerous what I'm doing actually is, I may not get it done. Because I don't know about you, but if I see them just openly like, oh, we're gonna let this guy run and then do like flip a coin or rock, paper, scissors, or their version of rock, paper, scissors to see who gets to kill him, and I'm going in that willingly by myself, like, man's a G. He crazy and he's a little pervert too, but he a G.
It's tough, and it's very interesting because, like, I feel like Scanlan's journey this season is like understanding like the difference between like talking about it and being about it. Mm-hmm. And my brain is like all over the place. But basically, all I'm trying to say is that Scanlan is great, and I love him. And I love that he is like diving into trying to figure out like, okay, I can't just say stuff and just like run away anymore. I have to show up and actually be a hero if I want to be worth anything. And I feel like that is coming through. It's coming through even more. And I feel like him like laughing it off, like you're saying, is him almost kind of not even believing himself that he's doing these like heroic things, almost like he's trying to cope in his own way, like shit, what it takes to like do this stuff. Okay. So that's interesting to me.
Yeah, he takes it to heart, and Scanlan sneaks in. We see him transform into the little dragonfly thing. And of course, we knew eventually Pike and Grog were going to follow. They had to find a way to sneak back into camp because obviously he takes too long. He transforms back into his regular form on accident. I don't know whether the surprise of listening in on them triggered that he transformed back, made a noise, then had to crawl through like a crawl space and finds another of his species, which becomes a big surprise much later in the next episode, who that character reveals themselves to be. But there are all the shopkeepers holed up with what money they have left and supplies and food, but obviously they need water. They can't just stay there. And so he's caught in a conundrum. Well, do I just finish the mission as I set out to do in the first place, or do I help these people escape as well? And I think he sees, I think it's still in this episode where he sees Kevdak fighting other people and realizing, he's like, there's no way I'm getting those gauntlets off him. At some point he says it. Like,
Yeah.
so that plan obviously is gone awry, and that's not going to happen. So the next best thing, I guess, is to get these people out, and he promises, after being pressured, that he's going to let them go. So I guess what Jonathan would be saying, the runaway factor is something that kind of haunts him, because obviously at points previous that we haven't seen yet, he's probably cut and run a few times, which is surprising to him that he has some fame now, because the other group within these people hiding knows who he is. And he's like, oh damn, I'm famous.
Yeah, that's
like,
also
y'all know
been,
who I am.
yeah, that's
But
also been his,
we
like,
learn later it's for the wrong reasons.
yeah, that's also been his verbal solution to problems the whole season up until kind of this point. Is like, let's leave, y'all. Why are we why are we here? Why are we doing this? Like, we don't have a shot. Okay, let's run. All right. But now he's kind of by himself, and somebody else isn't with him to be like, we don't have a choice to not run. So now he has to be the one that almost, he's like you said, he's being pressured almost to be like, well, you're here and you're saying you could do this stuff, so we need you to actually like do this stuff.
Yeah.
Hello. And so so that's where he's at. And it's just it's interesting. The growth.
He introduces himself, and I believe the other one is Kaylee. She's got like the little pink streak in her hair. And she's the same race as Pike and Scanlan. They end up trying to leave, and we see Pike and Grog sneak back in. So he's pretending to be one of them once again. I'm assuming, because they cut away, we don't see what they actually did, but I'm assuming they cut one of the pigs open.
Yeah.
Pig's blood on
firmly believe
Pike and him, so that they won't really recognize his face. So he's holding her upside down and walks through, calls her a turd, and she gets mad. Hey, you called me a turd. And she's like, yeah, hey, it worked. We got in. And she's like, that's right. You did a good job, buddies. They're still on this buddies thing. And eventually he can't stand it anymore. After seeing, is that the point where he sees his cousin get whooped too?
So that we skipped something. We skipped the dragon coming back.
Yes.
And that leads up to his cousin getting whooped.
Well, yeah, I did kind of gloss it over, but that's what I meant by the dragons shaking down the herd.
Yeah, and
then the herd in turn shaking down the people, because the dragons are demanding tribute in gold. So yeah, we did see the dragon come in, basically demand tribute and threaten the herd. And he took one of them and like dripped acid on him.
Like
killed him.
Like, he doesn't really, it's not really up to the leader anymore.
Yeah.
I'll kill one of your people just for it.
Yeah. And yeah, so they see that. And I think the cousin tries to stand up to him and challenges Kevdak for leadership. And I don't think Grog sees that. He doesn't see that initially happen, because he doesn't know later on why he's in bondage. But yeah, he challenges him. He gets mollywopped real quick, whooped, and put in cuffs. And then at the very end of this episode, we see cracked out Grog, super skinny, roll up after he's like, well, any of y'all want to challenge me, step forth now. And when no one immediately says anything, he's like, I thought so. And at the very end, Grog, you hear him yell Kevdak's name, and Grog steps up like, I challenge you. And then they end the episode right there, which was kind of predictable that they wouldn't get, because these episodes are usually like 20-something minutes. So It's so odd now with streaming because I think they're still formatting things as if we were watching them on regular TV back in the day. Because like a half-hour show would have in commercial breaks, but there are none. But we still kind of have them because we get the black screen. Have you guys noticed that?
Yeah.
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 It's like they still make it so that way if it ever gets formatted for TV
Yeah.
one day, it still
Yeah.
will fit
Yeah.
into a time frame.
Yeah.
I think they do that in case it gets syndicated.
Because like you're on streaming.
Yeah.
I guess maybe one day if they're like for those like last holdouts who will not get streaming, who only still watches TV.
Yeah.
And as one of the people who has not watched live television unless I'm staying in a hotel because I only do streaming, I will never watch it on TV.
I mean, I wonder if, you know, like kind of what you're saying in regards to like it's possibly streaming on TV. I wonder if the show was formatted in a way where not even just for like TV, like airing on TV, but for airing on other streaming services that have a lot of ads, like Hulu, like if you would watch them for free.
That's possible. That's very true.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking it's a time saver since if it's already formatted that way, if either of those options come up for longevity's sake and we can get the rights that we maybe sell 5 years down the line and get a new lease on life for this property, we'll be able to sell it for syndication on either regular TV or perhaps, like you said, another streaming services that does have ads put in strategically amongst it. Then they don't have to reformat it, like it's already ready to go to be sold in that format. Like here it is, it's already ready. So we're the ones that notice it now because it's like a weird pause, black screen, and then the next scene comes up, but there's nothing in between there. Sometimes it's a weird cut. But what do you think overall about this episode?
I loved this episode. It didn't feel it was partly a filler episode, but at the same time, it gave us enough action and a little bit of fun stuff and a little bit of like intrigue to keep me engaged in it. I love how like their filler episodes aren't really true filler, like they're not 100% filler. There's certain parts where it's just like, okay, you're just explaining stuff now. Like, but if you didn't explain it, I may have been able to understand it later on. But it's still nice to know the history and it sort of all ties everything in together. I have to say, even though I know the answer, I honestly, when I saw the girl come up, I was like, oh, that's like a long lost sister. Because like that was my initial thought about her. Was she was a long lost sister that like almost like she knows that she's related to him, that she's his sister, but like he doesn't. And it's like, dude, you're embarrassing yourself. Stop.
Yeah. Because he immediately goes to hitting on her. That's his thing. He immediately goes to that. And I don't know if this show kind of trains you whenever it introduces a new character. It's like I'm automatically suspicious of the character all the time. Like most shows, I think now, like anybody, a new face pops up, I'm like, I don't know if I trust you yet. I don't know what you're going to do. I don't know what your true motives are. If you're really there for the reasons you're telling me that you're there. And you act suspicious to him because she immediately like puts a knife to his throat as soon as he pops up. Like, you're with them, and it's like I'm a little short to be with them.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Like I didn't think about how characters are introduced specifically in this show, but you're right. Like we're introduced to our main group, but we were introduced to them all at once, so we know them and we trust them. But everybody else, no. Literally everybody else. It's not even like you see people show up and you're like, oh, they seem nice. No, they're not. It all shifts. So that's very interesting. I think this.
Yeah, from the very beginning, from the first episode of season 1, we see that dude that ends up being a dragon in human disguise that we thought was like the head of the guard for the people that they were working for. So ever since then, it's like any new face you show me on this show, like right away, I'm suspicious. Like, nope, they're up to something. Don't trust them. Don't give them nothing. Don't let them into your sanctuary. It's not going to go well for all of them. I like the episode too. They had their trademark action to start off with in the flashback with good fight, good action, wonderful art, obviously with the animation of the show. Before they get to the story, it's almost like that's kind of their formula, is to give us a bit of action before they delve into the story, so it doesn't stagnate too much. You don't get bored. You get your action right off the bat, then they go into tying in the backstory, and I like that.
I agree.
Action
I think
first.
it's effective.
Action first.
Yes.
Well, that's the first episode, episode 9 that we talked about. Let's take a short break, and then we'll be back to talk episode 10, The Kill Box. Talk to you in a second. Welcome back to the second half of the Askari Cast. My name is Rod Van Blake, and I'm joined once again by Andrea Rose Washington.
What up?
And Jocelyn Short. And we are continuing our talk with episode 10 of season 2 of Vox Machina, The Kill Box. And in this show, they open up with Keyleth, Percy, Vax, and Vex returning to Whitestone through a portal. And we forget, I guess, our last episode when we talked about them, they were returning from the Fey realm.
Mm-hmm.
And at first it appears that they've went to the wrong spot. Did you all figure out what was going on initially when this scene opened up?
I honestly forgot about them.
You forgot about Whitestone, or you forgot about the other group?
I forgot about the other group because the episode 9 just cut my attention, and I was just so into it. I totally forgot that we were missing 4 of the members.
So when it popped up, you were like, "Oh yeah!"
I was like, "Oh crap, yeah, y'all are part of this, aren't y'all?"
So, at this point, was this after you said this is when they're coming out the Fey realm? So this is after Keyleth has gotten all of her fire stuff out the way.
Yeah, she gotten some of it, and
they met Vax and Vex's father.
Yeah, Vex and Vax's father. Because she talks about it later on in this episode. They're meeting the father, and they've got the other vestige. She got that secret bow from the Fey realm where they had that trapped soul of misery in the forest where they had to fight him and these group tree ants or whatever you want to call them to get the bow, and he was trying to keep Vex as his own tortured love match. I don't know what that was going to be, but
he was trying to seduce her. Yeah. He wanted her.
You're broken like me, we can be broken together type thing. So yeah, they're
That's
coming
what
off
every
of that.
girl wants to hear.
And whatever that thing was that was leading them, the satyr character that ended up transforming to another form at the end of that episode where they went to the Fey realm. I'm sure he'll be back later on. But yeah, that's what they're coming off of. And they find that, I think Vax is the one that presses his hand forward into what should be Whitestone. And we find that there's a big dome illusion bubble basically hiding the presence of Whitestone. They've hidden the city to protect it, and so they walk in to find Whitestone hidden. Percy sees his sister, and they're having some type of council meeting of what we should do, and this has been taken over, and they're still reassessing the situation because things are still messed up, and everybody is hiding from the dragons that are just basically punking everybody. In each end of the land, every city, they're just draining them of gold because one, I forget the dragon's name, rest in peace. I don't know what they're going to do now, because Lance Riddick, the voice actor for the main dragon, has passed.
Yeah.
Who was also the voice of Commander Zavala in Destiny 2 and Destiny, The Wire. He was a concierge in John Wick, Mr. Wick.
Mm-hmm.
He played Silence in Horizon.
Horizon. Yeah. Man had an incredible dearth of work that we had access to, and that voice is here no more. So rest in peace to Lance Riddick. But yeah, that's the dragon of the Chroma Conclave. Is that the head of the dragon conclave that's running everything right now?
Yeah. Thordak.
Mm-hmm.
Thordak, yeah. So what did you guys think about the opener for this episode?
You can go first, Jocelyn. I've been going first, so you can go first.
No, you can go first. I'm trying to, I remember the meeting, and I remember the dragon. I feel like I feel like I remember feeling like I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know how this will, like, I feel like we're losing. I always feel like we're losing all the time.
Well, they are losing
All
technically
Yeah.
at this moment. They are
yeah.
severely losing.
Everybody's like scattered roaches right now, pretty much. All the cities like scattered roaches when you cut the lights on. They're just hiding from the dragons.
Yeah.
I feel like so when episode 10 came on, again, like I said earlier, I definitely have forgot about those four. Because it definitely shows you who's my favorite and who I love when I watch this episode. But I like how it started off with a little bit of comedy, a little bit of like, okay, we hit it, and then it goes straight into seriousness, and they're at the meeting, and it's like interesting because they're not a part of the like the serious part. They're the commit like these groups, those four, Vex, Vax, Keyleth, and Percy. They're like the comedic relief. And they walk into the serious meeting. And it's like, all right, well, we sort of lost our friends. They're somewhere. Look, it's been 3 weeks. It's only been 3 days. Like, oh, the fairy realm. So it was a cute little opener because it sort of reminded me that, like, they're also comedic relief, not just Scanlan and Grog. I never considered my girl a part of the comedic relief, but she was hilarious if I ever like.
Yeah, Keyleth is usually good for a few laughs initially. 'Cause she's the one. Wasn't she the one that got drunk and sick off of like one drink in the first episode?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so she's kind of funny sometimes, and she's awkward, and her awkwardness is part of her comedy. So yeah, they mentioned that they've lost the rest of the party. Don't know where they are, and just so happens. There's Machina, the one of the people that's holding this meeting can just, I guess she's got a scrying thing where she can just see where people are. She reveal to me what is lost, and she ends up seeing exactly where Scanlan and Pike are hiding behind these boxes, and then they're able to divine from that exactly what city they're in. So we know that eventually the group is all going to get back together. I watched these episodes today. Do you remember, Andrea, them teleporting to Weird One, to the other city?
No, I don't remember that. I was because I watched it twice today.
Yeah.
And each time I was just like, wait, how did that happen?
I do remember. I do remember, like, just feeling like they just showed up.
Yeah. Because they know what. Yeah, I think they cut immediately back to the other place where Grog is at, and they pick up at the end of episode 9 where he was challenging Kevdak, and then everybody parts ways. He walks up. Kevdak is looking down from the balcony. They're talking trash back to each other, and he challenges him formally, and he has "I accept," and immediately Kevdak gets to stomp in a mud hole out of Grog, like repeatedly. It's like watching the bad parts of a Rocky film where he is just getting mollywopped the entire time.
Man, did it? Lord have mercy.
Yeah, because I was proud of Grog for like standing up to his uncle.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was like, honey, like love, like as I like to tell people, love and like passion that does not pay the bills. Like you need something that can write those checks. Like you need something in the bank to back up what you said.
Yeah.
Grog, I hate to see you hurt, honey. I hate to see my little love bug, my little teddy bear, like got the snot kicked out of him.
Yeah, repeatedly. He is just getting he's just getting mollywopped the whole time while everybody's watching. It seems like the rest of the herd is kind of cheering on this whooping that Grog is taking, and you can see Scanlan and Pike off in the distance. So they end up smuggling the other people out of the city, and Kaylee stays behind. You can see she's figuring out what they're going to do, and she decides she's not going to go off with the rest of the people that were trapped there. She's going to turn around and see what's up with Scanlan. You hinted at it before that there's obviously some relation. We don't know what it is yet between Kaylee and Scanlan, but she's not just going to walk off. And finally, they all start fighting together. And at first it's just Kaylee, Scanlon, and Pike that fight. And even then, they start getting into it a little bit, and they start, holding their own for a little bit. It's obviously that's not going to be enough. They end up losing, and at one point they're trapped, and she's about to crush Pike. Kevdak gets his foot and is like, "Who wants to see the little one get her head smushed?" Basically, and he's also, and then Grog gets a second win, gets up and starts fighting. You see him kind of grow back to his normal, when he says, "I want to rage." But we skipped that though. First, he gets like impaled,
like badly.
Yeah.
But like I was just like, I don't think you're gonna die, but you're gonna come close.
Man, I swear, watching Grog get this beaten and do all it, like it just felt, it was like watching the Undertaker in like his last few matches before he retired. I was just like, oh God, it's not going good.
Yeah, it's not my day. I think even one of them says that in mid-fight, like, "This is not going well." I think I've heard them say that
That's
multiple.
later. That's later.
That's later.
That's later.
Yeah, they're getting whooped, and we get the monologue from both Grog and Kevdak as he's got his foot in his chest, and he's like, "See, your friends weren't enough." Go ahead, Andre.
But it was nice to sort of see when like Grog was impaled, and we see him like almost flash back to that old guy who was beating the crap out of Grog.
Yeah.
And he's like, where does your strength come from? And
yeah,
we do get a payoff from that.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, we're getting that answer. We're getting that answer, and it's I want to rage, and that's when we first see him like boost up a bit, and then is that when also Kevdak also does the same thing, or is that after?
No, that was after.
Okay.
Yeah,
this is the part where we get the song, right?
Not yet.
Okay.
It's almost. Now we're going back to where Rod is, where Kevdak, even though Grog boosted up just a bit, Kevdak still got him on his back and has his foot on his chest.
Gotcha.
He whoops him again, puts him back on the ground. It was like he had the cheat code, because Grog, I'd like to rage, and he hulks out basically and grows back to his normal height and girth and starts going at it with Kevdak, and then he gets him down again, and he's like, "Your friends aren't enough," and then Grog is like, "They are more than friends." And I would have laughed my ass off if the meme popped up of Toretto from Fast and Furious, if they'd have been like, "You can't beat family." That would have been hilarious. And then you see in the shadows that more of the rest of Vox Machina finally has made it to the fight, and they hop in and everybody starts getting down, and it's just going down at that point.
And we see that like Grog's like true strength comes from his friends.
Yeah.
And it was cute. He was like, "Vox Mafia, raise hell, rage." And then we get our Scanlon song.
Yeah, he starts singing and playing the loop thing or whatever he's got, and he gets up on his little purple glowy hand things, doing the rocker sign, and he rides it up to the air.
Was so hype. It had me hype. I was painting while I was watching this episode. I was like, it's cold. Yeah, just all that happened. Just like as much movement as I could do while I'm painting, but I'm just like, yeah.
Oh, I was right there with you. I was definitely like, yes, let's go, Vox, let's do this. It's like, oh, okay, keep going. Oh nope, you're not. It's not going well, Percy. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Kevdak does his little cheating thing where he smacks the gauntlets together and he grows again. Like, just because oh, you thought you could go up a level, I can go up a level too. That was like in a video game where there's like a boss fight and there's a second phase. It turned into a second phase. He got even bigger than he was before. And I think what happened is Vex is flying around on her broom, shooting people with the vestige bow, and she's occasionally trapping Kevdak with these vines as she shoots the bow, and these vines grow up, and he eventually gets out of that. And it was a crazy little fight. He gets a little help. Grog does, of course, by being boosted up into the air to come down from however many stories up, to come down and cleave Kevdak almost in half. Before that, though, we missed a really crazy part in the fight that we didn't talk about. My boy partially slices off Kevdak's arm with the gauntlet still on the arm, and my boy Kevdak rips the rest of the arm off and then starts beating old boy with his severed arm in the gauntlet. I'm like, this is ridiculous, but I'm for it. It was crazy. And even I think Grog says something. He's like, well, that was cool or something like that.
That was badass. That was so badass.
I was like, wow, like that was kind of ridiculous, but I'm with it. This
You
part
said
of
Percy
why
did that, right? That was Percy who did that.
No, that was Grog. He slashes Kevdak's arm, and you can see that his arm is like partially severed. It's like almost falling off, and instead of just letting it fall off naturally, Kevdak grabs his opposite wrist and pulls his arm the rest of the way off, and then proceeds to start beating people with his own severed arm with the other arm. He just show you how raw I am. I'm gonna beat you with my severed arm instead of anybody else would have fallen out and I guess bled out, but nah, he's gonna keep going.
It was actually also interesting to see his son, like, okay, I'm gonna join this fight. I mean, granted, he was trying to go against his father anyway, because he's like, this isn't us. We don't listen to a dragon. We're not some dragon slaves or servants.
Yeah.
And he's trying to join the fight as well. It doesn't go well for him, but like he still tries. Like, I'm going.
It was ironic too, because wasn't he the one that snitched on Grog in the first place?
Yes, when they were younger. Yes, because he wanted his father's approval. And I feel like if Grog didn't like hit him, he may not have snitched. But like he seemed like he was a punk and he got hit, so he had to go tell daddy.
Yeah. Yeah, which was a weird thing to happen. They eventually do kill old boy. Kevdak goes down. He picks up the gauntlets, and you see Grog put them on, and kind of at the end there, it just results him basically he killed the leader. He should have become the leader of the herd.
Yeah.
But I figure I'm like, well, how's this going to work now? Because we can't have Grog just running off with the herd. He's still got to be part of Vox Machina, or is it just them together now with the herd, and they're going to go off doing stuff? But he abdicates his rulership basically to his cousin, which was Kevdak's son, and I guess they are going to partner up and try and take on the Chroma Conclave. But obviously, I think we all know that that's not going to be enough. Just them and herd against the Chroma Conclave. So they have some more allies to get. We get everybody drinking in the end and rabble-rousing and celebrating their brief victory. And Vex kind of avoids telling everybody how she got the vestige. I guess she doesn't want to tell about her little entanglement with the tortured soul in the forest.
And like what he said to her, basically.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing to be like, oh yeah, I tricked him. Another thing to be like, I was so broken that he wanted me to be his broken queen with him.
Yeah.
Like, no one's going to want to really say that out loud.
Yeah. So, yeah, they go through that, and Keyleth decides she's going to get the gumption up to ask Vax to dance, and he shoots her down because he's being...
he's taking another vision.
He's being distracted by the maven the maid of ravens, the goddess of death, basically.
Yeah.
He's distracted, but doesn't tell her that, and she's kind of shot down and goes back to drinking. And now we know that the herd is going to join the fray with them. And of course, we end on my boy Scanlan getting the invitation after they have a couple songs they play with his new friend Kaylee, and they go upstairs. She's like, I'm tired. Let's take a break.
So many levels of wrong in that last scene. There's so many levels of wrong. I don't care. So many levels of wrong.
I mean, I guess shout out to your girl because she's committed. Like, she went.
Ain't nothing I'm committed enough to do that. Ain't nothing I'm committed enough to put myself in that type of situation.
I mean, to just like traumatize yourself directly over again to get that far before you stop it.
To make him think that's what you wanted.
Like, oh my God. Oh
I
my god.
don't like when that scene started happening. I was like, okay, she's not his sister. She's like, I thought, okay, she is like he has a bounty back in the hometown, or like he killed someone that she loved, or
Yeah.
something like that.
That's what I
That's
thought
who
when I
I
first
thought
saw
she
her.
was when the ropes came out. I was like, okay, she's a bounty hunter, or she like knew someone who he like killed or something, like didn't help or stole money from. I was like, she's no longer related, because like when his pants started coming off, I was like, she's definitely not related to this man anymore. I can't even say it, Rod. I'll leave it to you.
Yeah. He think he's in for a good time because as soon as they close the door, she locks it and starts talking to him, and he's not even talking no more. Really, he just breaks down, start stripping out the clothes, and he's got his little thong on, and he's just laying there, doing a little sexy pose, talking to her. She's like about to tie him up, and he's like, "Oh, BDSM, I like it." Like, "Oh, I don't think this is gonna go the way you think it's going." And she's revealing, like, yeah, we heard about you, except for I've only heard it from one person. I got the story about you from my mother. Oh, your mom sounds like a great person. Yeah, except for the person that left her with nothing but a song and me. And then it's revealed at the end that that's his daughter. And he's
Ain't
like,
no way. Ain't
well,
no effing way I would have put myself in that situation. There's so many other ways. You could have hired someone. You could have just gotten him drunk. You could have done so many other things. But like, you let this man believe you wanted to sleep with him,
yeah,
knowing he was your father. Like that, Vox Machina, you have done a lot of things
yeah.
in these seasons.
Ain't got no shame.
This, no.
None at all. So I guess, yeah, and he started making reference, if needs be, I don't mind being called daddy. And then he says it again at the end with the question mark. I'm like, uh-oh.
That's why I'm like, shouts out to her, because like first of all, I don't even know how she even made it up. I mean, I understand what her plan was, but to just get it that far was just like, how do you keep your composure that long to see him doing all, knowing that, like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Ain't no way.
I'm just stressed out recalling it all.
Ain't no way.
Yeah.
Like, legit. I was like, the moment that door locked, I was like, okay, she's no longer related to him. She is like a spy, or she's a bounty hunter, or she is like she's been looking for him to kill him. Or maybe even possible an ex-lover that he doesn't remember, because he has so many of those.
Yeah.
So many other things.
Oh
Apparently.
and then for him
Not
to be like, oh, I'm sure she was a lovely woman. What was her name?
Not his daughter.
Yeah. And so now we got to figure out whether he just forgot, like you said, Andrea, or if he did know, he's just deadbeat dad, and he was like, sorry, got to go, and bounced on him. I'm betting he just didn't know, though. We'll see.
Oh, he definitely didn't. I definitely don't think he knew that he had a kid.
Yeah.
But still, you let this man take off his shirt and pants. I'm so happy he didn't take off anything else.
I was nervous. I didn't know how far it was
nervous.
going to go. I was like, it's got to stop. It's got to stop.
Yeah, so I guess we'll find out. And we have to, obviously. We've got 2 more episodes left in the season, 11 and 12, to see how this plays out. Because that sounds super crazy. Everything's looking crazy. Do we know if there's a season 3 coming?
I think so. I think they've been renewed for season 3 and 4. I think I saw something that said that.
Okay. Well, yeah, this was a wild 2 episodes. We got lots of backstory. I guess we're leading into now, because we kind of closed up Grog's story. So now I guess we're leading into finally getting Scanlan's story, because we're going to have to, obviously I think we're going to show some flashbacks to go back to when Kaylee was conceived. So I guess we'll see that at some point. Thank you all once again for chatting it up about these things and taking time out of your day. We've had 1 or 2 lurkers catching us on live. We appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch us discuss these things. We'll be back next week to continue talking about them on Thursday, unless something else comes up in the schedule. Don't forget to check the links in the description of the episode on. It's not Anchor anymore. It's Spotify for podcasters.
Yeah.
So check the links to Andrea's link tree for my website and for Jocelyn's website. Snitch slapped, no problem. Thank you for joining us on the stream. We will talk to you all next week. Oh, and don't forget to check out Trek and Beyond. I think they're in between, but they're still going.
Yep, a Star Trek podcast. We're starting Lower Deck soon.
Good to go. We will talk to you all next week. Peace.